Zachary. Good main post. I want to touch on a few things. First, I love that you have read Their Eyes Were Watching God. That is such a good book. It's actually one of my very favorites. And Zora Neale Hurston happens to be one of my favorite authors for a couple of reasons, which I will elaborate on here in a minute. But there's actually a movie too about Their Eyes Were Watching God. Oprah Winfrey produced it. Halle Berry plays the main character, and it was just made for TV because Oprah saw the significance of this story and knew the significance of Zora Neale Hurston, and so she wanted to adapt this into a movie. And so it's actually a pretty good movie if you haven't seen it. It's a quick watch, so it'd be worth watching. But I agree with you on her Christian belief that it was a very, very big reason, especially, nowadays our divorce has become less taboo and it's a lot more accepted, but not so much then. And so if you think about it, you said you don't really think that the plot was, I think that was number 3. And I agree with you. Maybe this specific storyline, the relationship, the couple, the plot may not be as significant, but let's look at it as a whole. And Eatonville was one of the first all-black towns, if not the first all-black town. And Zora Neale Hurston's dad was actually the mayor of it, maybe one of the mayors. They might have had a couple of mayors. And so if you go back to Their Eyes Were Watching God, it was her husband, Joe Starks, very similar name as in this story. You'll find there's a lot of similarities among her books because there's a lot of truth behind them. But in Their Eyes Were Watching God, it was her husband, and in this one, or in real life, it was her dad. And so Eatonville is very important in that it's the basis of all of her stories and her books, and it's called what's called a historical fiction because we're getting bits and pieces of history, learning about that setting and its importance. So just keep that in mind. But you have really good answers, and I look forward to what you do with the next one.